suddenly I heard this like voice laughing at me. And in the dream, I realized like God was laughing at me and I couldn't understand. Like, wait a minute, I look great. What's going on? And literally when I asked, like, God, why are you laughing at me? God replied, laughing with, silly JB. He thinks the only reason I made him was to have his career. And his laugh up.
What's up, everybody? Selvin here with another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast, brought to you by Inquire Higher, where we promote and support the success of Black students and professionals through multimedia. One of the things that you touch on as far as, taking a lot of time to learn about, the field, and I kind of want to be a little bit more direct to, to financial services in general, because there's a lot of exams that you got to, kind of go through. You have to learn the products. You have to learn what you can and cannot say and things like that. And then on top of that, with, being a financial advisor, I know the format may be a little bit different, but there may be some cases where you're straight commission or you're partially commissioned and trying to like learn or even just kind of prepare for that. So for somebody who knows that they want to get into the field, for all of the things that can come with being a financial advisor, with the education, teaching people how to plan, with their money a little bit better, with all those other things that come with it, that they have to kind of prepare for. What advice would you have for somebody who is looking to kind of take on all of that, take on the fluctuations of income, studying for tests and things like that? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so the financial service industry is very broad and sometimes very confusing to navigate, to understand who is the professional or specialist that I need to be seeking out for certain problems. It's a field where sometimes people will come to you for a problem that you don't solve, and it's not their fault. They just don't know, right? An accountant, a CPA, a financial advisor, a wealth management advisor, like this is just so hard to navigate. So I would say the most important thing for the person who wants to come in this career is, before you even get to selecting a pathway, is to understand this fundamental truth. Okay. A financial literacy business is not the same thing as a financial planning business. Okay. If you're going to be profitable, or if you're going to kind of, make enough where you can sustain an office, grow a team, whatever, you really are going to have to target people that have a savings problem. It's really challenging to target people that have a revenue problem. And I think that's a really quick, easy way to know, like, if your desire is to be more to teach literacy, then that may be more of like a nonprofit thing or something that you may want to, nest with another established practice, whatever it be. But if you're trying to own a financial planning practice, it gets really tough if you're not working with clients who have discretionary income to save. Okay. So that's the first thing. Next, you want to understand there's really essentially kind of three primary trackways for you to pick from if you're going to be an advisor or planner. Number one, you may become an agent, okay? And typically you associate agents with those who may offer primarily insurances, life insurance, disability, long-term care. And typically with an agent relationship, you are required to make sure at the point of sale that you're offering what's in the best interest of that individual. And typically whatever company that you would sell for would pay a commission to that advisor for that transaction. Okay. And I know some people get confused, but that is not what we call a fiduciary relationship, where that advisor or that agent, needs to meet with you on an annual basis. They're only called to task at the point of sale to make sure they do the right thing. Now, obviously, a good agent will, call you and check in on you and see more or what. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that's not necessarily their mandate per se. Okay, so that's one pathway. You could go out and kind of be more so an insurance professional. Okay. The second track you could go down is you may want to just focus on investments, just be an investment advisor. Okay. And investment advisors are typically managing pools of money. Could be a settlement, could be an inheritance. Most often it's going to be probably an old retirement plan. Okay. And in managing that pot of money, typically there will be, especially if it's over, I'd argue at least, maybe $75,000, $100,000, that typically will be a fiduciary relationship where that advisor will be tasked to making sure they have an ongoing relationship and meet with you. But also that mostly is not necessarily a commission-based relationship. That typically is what will be a fee-based relationship. Okay. And that fee most commonly will be based upon how much money they're managing on your behalf. Okay. The more they manage, typically that fee comes down as you go. Okay. The last track to me is the track that, me and my organization have chosen. And that is the financial planner track. Okay. So a real financial planner, in my opinion, so I want to be respectful. Okay. So I'm not trying to say, I know all the real, but just
absolutely.
Saying. But for us, a real financial planner is always going to be comprehensive in nature. And by that, they're going to understand that a good financial plan has offense and defense. And they're going to understand it's not about the plan. It's about the plan for the plan to maybe not go as planned. Okay. So they're going to take the insurance on one side, and then they're going to take the investments on the other side, and they're going to create an actual written plan that client will use to guide their decision making. And that advisor serves as a behavioral manager, okay, in terms of keeping that client on task to the plan that is set, because money is very emotional. And sometimes people would like to have an ongoing relationship with someone that's kind of, again, keeping them on track to what they're going to do. And they can either do that by, us creating a plan for them that they go, maybe Aunt Sally sells insurance and Uncle Terry does investments. We could do a fee-based plan where we just charge them to make a plan, right? And they take that and implement however they want. Or they can make the decision to have us implement the strategies and they do the plan with us.
And that's what's up. Yeah. Appreciate the breakdown of all three of those tracks. And I'm sure that gives our listeners a little bit more insight. When they hear the word financial services or financial advising, they can kind of break it down to those three things. So definitely appreciate that.
And one last thing I just want to say, most times it's really hard to just be an expert at both overnight. I started off more in that kind of agent track, learning about all the insurances, then eventually getting an investment license and developing that, and then feeling more at comfort and at peace of being able to do both as you go. But don't ever let anybody put you down for wanting to spend some time becoming an expert in one side of the field and then growing into others. You just don't want to get to the point where you start thinking that you can just only do one side of the field and not understand the importance of the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks again for that. Now, outside of, what you do kind of on a day-to-day basis, we like to encourage those who have a certain position, whether it's of status or knowledge to kind of pour that into those who are kind of coming forth and trying to take those steps to kind of get into those places. So how do you pay it forward? What are some of the things that you personally like to do to make sure that with what you're acquiring, you're able to kind of pour back into those who might be coming behind you?
Sure. So, earlier I said there's a difference between a financial planning business and a financial literacy business. Okay. So because I understand as a business owner, I can't necessarily sit all day with people who can't save anything additional. That's why I'm such a big believer in doing a lot of talks and speaking engagements outside of my regular time here as an advisor. So every year I'm probably at least doing somewhere between, 20 to 30 talks a year, which ranges from universities to churches to businesses, you name it. We've done it. So that's one way that we give back is we really try to just make sure we're pouring as much information back into the community and making ourselves available for speaking engagements whenever possible. Secondly, we do a lot of, Zoom meetings where we allow our clients, friends, advocates to basically we call them like a family financial planning Friday, or, sometimes it'll be on a different day. And we'll allow them to basically pick any financial topic they can think of that they want to learn more about. And they'll invite a bunch of family and friends to that Zoom meeting. And we'll lecture on those subjects. And they don't have to worry about becoming clients or anything like that. Like, we'll be fine. The goal is just to kind of, give back information and make sure they have a safe place to avoid the TikTok, Wikipedia, and YouTube scholarship that can often go on these days in complicated life. Aside from that, I'm a big believer that you have to do some things outside of just your regular work. So I'm a really big advocate of a lot of my clients. I'd say about half of our client base works in science, engineering, technology, and math. So they work in STEM. So so I sit on a couple boards that are focused more so on STEM efforts in the community. And then also too, I'm a really big believer just in fatherhood and just being a good husband. So I'm always like out in the community trying to do talks to really push the importance of family, especially during a time like this.
Absolutely. No, that's really good ways to use what you know and go into the communities to kind of pour back into them. And not even just from a financial standpoint, it sounds like there's those points where you can, give your perspective on other ways that the community can grow. So that's really good to see. Now, finally, before we wrap up things, JB, just to get to know a little bit more about you, what is something that you see now or interact with now that you have a completely different view of as an adult, compared to whether you're a college student, whether a kid 2 weeks ago, like whatever. But what's one thing that you feel like you have a completely different perspective on now?
Sure. This is actually something I'm in the middle of writing a book that needs to get finished, and hopefully sometime.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. So here's the big realization for me. It's really kind of twofold. Number one, I think it's important to try to find what's the most important lesson I learned every decade of your life. Okay. So for me, first decade of my life, I realized how important money was because I saw what happens when you don't have a lot in your family. Mm-hmm. The second decade of my life, from the kind of 10 to 20 was about understanding that time is more important than money because I lost some very important people to me towards the end. And I realized, that was more important. My 20 to 30 period was about learning that there is something more valuable than time, and that is energy. If the energy is not right, the time will not matter. So everything I do in life is about energy preservation and energy gifting. If I go home and I see something my wife is doing, whatever, I'm always trying to figure out how can I just give an energy deposit? How can I take something off of someone's plate is a really important theme. So that'll be the one side. And that's something that is evolved. The other thing that's like really different, though, in terms of how I saw the world when I was younger versus now, I spent my 20s, especially the early 20s before I got into my career, really like looking for this career that was going to just be my it thing to the day I die and all, everything's about the career. I need to find it. And even when I started to find some success as an advisor, I got to this place where I just thought like, man, like, surely I found what I'm going to do, my purpose, mm-hmm. And I was really blessed that I had this silly dream, but I had this dream that I was like walking around in some really expensive suit, a lot taller than I actually am, a lot more shape than I actually am. And I maybe even had hair in the dream, right? And I'm walking around and, I'm feeling like I'm the man. And suddenly I heard this like voice laughing at me. And in the dream, I realized like God was laughing at me and I couldn't understand. Like, wait a minute, I look great. What's going on? And literally when I asked, like, God, why are you laughing at me? God replied, laughing with, silly JB. He thinks the only reason I made him was to have his career. And his laugh up. And when I woke up, I immediately thought about that Mark Twain quote, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you learn why. So I spent 2 years dealing with this question of what are all the things in my life that if I could not do, I literally would pray and say, God, I'm ready to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. And what that journey did was it helped create for me a purpose, okay? A purpose that's bigger than my problems, a purpose that came before my wife, my kids, even my career. So I think the biggest piece of mind I have now is I know the four things that JB is here to do is to help people find clarity, to challenge them and align their actions with their values, to create moments of laughter, and a model submission to God. And for me, I'm able to kind of operate. I'm thankful that my career gives me an ability to be able to walk more in my career when I want to. But at the end of the day, my career isn't everything. I don't look to my career to satisfy things that only knowing your purpose can do. And that's been the biggest shift and evolution. And it's made my life far, far more meaningful and enjoyable.
Yeah. No, that reminds me of people looking for a purpose versus looking for meaning. And it sounds like that's what you found. And it's, I think there's a way to have both and but to be able to put them together, I think is probably the most powerful thing you can do. And because I feel like same thing with education, where it's something that you can't take away from you. Can't really take away meaning from you once you've found that thing that's like ingrained in you. So that's really cool to how you broke that down into your decades. So I'm actually looking forward to what those next decades were the most important thing, because it sounds like you figured it all out.
Well, man, like I said, I'm thinking about it all the time, man. So we'll see. I'm at 35 now, so I'll let you know at 40.
There you go. Appreciate it. Well, JB, anything else that you want to give to our audience before we wrap up here?
No. The biggest thing I would say, obviously I don't know everything, but I just do want to extend myself as somebody who's here to help. You can always feel free if you ever want to email me. I'm at james.bell@nm.com, james.bell@nm.com. My office direct line, 414-615-1855. If you ever just need help, just want to talk, hit me up. I make time for it. Okay. And it doesn't have to be about financial planning, just in life in general. I've been blessed to get to, a certain level of success. And I just want to see others get there. It's important to me.
Absolutely. Well, definitely appreciate you for being gracious to have yourself open to everybody. Thanks for sharing your perspective on everything. We'll make sure to have all that information in the description. And I definitely want to take an opportunity to thank everybody for listening and watching. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions. We're at contact@inquirehigher.com. You can visit our website, inquirehigher.com as well. All of our episodes are on our YouTube channel. Just search for Inquire Higher. And, we're looking forward to having more great folks like JB on this show. So again, thank you, JB. We really appreciate it.
No problem, man.